had a power outage. Can you just brief the last class, just what has been done in the last class, and then can you
In
continue,
the
please?
last class, we have discussed about how to create a form,
Hmm.
and how to create form fields, and how to capture the values from a form, and how to set the values to a form. This topic, again, it will come when we go for CRUD operations.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, students, can you hear me? Okay, so let me proceed. So in today's class, we are going to discuss like capturing values from different screen elements. Capturing values from different screen elements, and we'll try to discuss like enable, disable functionality, and we'll try to discuss like visible, invisible functionality. In SAP UI5 or Fiori also it will be same. We'll discuss about how to capture values from different screen elements, and we'll try to understand enable, disable functionalities and visible, invisible functionality in UI5 as well as Fiori. So first of all, let me take one simple option here. For example, I want to make use of for example, a slider. I want to use a slider, and when I click on a button, so this is a slider here, and I want to click on some submit button or something like that. So when I click on a button, I want to capture the lower selected value and higher selected value. When user click on a button, I want to capture lower selected value and higher selected value from a slider. And I want to display it in the form of a alert message. So first let us try this. First let us create a slider. And I told you how to create a slider. I told you how to create a button, how to assign a function to a button. So already I covered most of these things, how to create a slider, how to create a button, and how to assign a function to a button action. So let me do those things one by one here. First of all, I want to use a slider that is nothing but a range slider I want to use. Let me take range slider and button. So in our previous examples, I covered how to use range slider. So why don't I copy this coding from the previous examples? So you can see slider. Let me check where exactly it is. I'm just searching for slider related code, which we have already discussed. Okay, you can see I want to make use of a range slider. So let me copy that here. I'm trying to copy the code related to a slider. So that's a code specific to a slider. Already I covered how to create slider. The same code I'm using now. So I'm placing slider on some content 3. I'm placing this range slider on content 3. And similarly, I want to create a button. New sap.ui.button. And for button, I want to use text property, for example, submit. And for submit button, there will be a press event. In the last class, we were using press event for a button. So for press event, I want to assign one function, for example, capture fun. You can give any name for your function and you can assign it to an event of a screen element. In this case, we are assigning a function to press event of a button. And what you can do is you can place that button, you can place button object on content. For example, I'm using content 3. Now what you can do is you can implement this particular capture function. You can implement that capture function by using function keyword. You can provide function name, and within that you can write some piece of code. Within this flower bracket, you can write some piece of code. And in this example, my intention is to make you understand how to capture lower value, how to capture higher value from a slider. So it's very simple. You can use your slider object. You can use your slider object inside the function. You can use slider object inside your function. Dot, you can use get value. So get value is a method and it will capture lower selected value. And I want to store it in some variable, something like low value. Similarly, we can use slider object dot get value to. Get value to, and it will help you to capture higher selected value. And I can store it in one local variable, for example, high value. Now, to make you understand, I just want to print these values through alert message. I can print these values on the screen through alert message. So you can use sap.ui.commons.message box. We can use like sap.ui.commons.message box. Dot, you can use like show method, or you can use like alert method here, and you can print those values by passing those variables. So now let us test it. You can refresh the screen. Let me open in external browser. So I think button is missing. Let me check what went wrong. Button object sap.ui.commons is missing. So I've corrected the code. I've corrected some code here. Commons is missing. So here you can see, let me refresh the screen, and you can see something like I am selecting something like a value 40. At the bottom, I'm selecting a value 40 and 120 here. And when I click on submit button, now you can see, okay, let me select exactly 40 here. And let me select exactly 120. On submit button, you can see it is approximately 39.5 and it is 119.9. So let me maximize. So you can see now 59.7 and it is 119.5. So it is capturing the lower value as well as higher value here. Let me test it in. It is working, there is no problem, but I'm expecting accurate numeric values. Hundred and, for example, near to 180. On submit button, you can see 100.100.33 and you can see 180.06. So that is how you can capture the values which is selected by user from a slider into your function. Under submit button or whatever button you want, you can write the code by assigning the function inside that button. And for example, think like this. I want to take a drop down and radio button group also here. I want to take drop down and radio button group. Some drop down radio button group. And I want to use something like a roadmap. I want to take some roadmap also. Say for example, think like this. There are 4 steps here. Assume that there are 4 steps. Now the requirement here is, think like this. If user selects step 4 in roadmap, then drop-down box should be disabled. When user selects step 4 in roadmap, then drop-down box should be disabled. And something like radio button group should be invisible. It should be invisible. Else drop-down box should be enabled and radio button group should be visible. So that is one of the requirement here. So whenever user selects step 4 in roadmap, I want to make drop-down disable radio button group invisible. Else drop-down should be enable, radio button group should be visible. Radio button group should be visible. So you may get this type of very common requirements, and you should be good at using if-else conditions and how to write the code in functions, and you need to know how to assign a function to screen element, and you need to know how to implement a function syntax. So think like this. Let me take the code for drop-down box and radio button group. So let us not worry about this. Okay, I'll copy this code for your reference. So you can implement that type of code. Now let us concentrate on the next requirement. In this requirement, we need to have drop-down and radio button group. So let me take the code from our previous classes. You can write anywhere, but I'm just writing above that row repeater. So let me copy the code related to drop-down box and radio button group. I've already explained how to use drop-down box, radio button group. So let me use it that again in this particular file. So let me check in class 24. Okay, you can see there is a radio button group coding. Let me copy that code. It is not copied. Let me copy properly. So radio button group code is copied here. Let me copy the remaining lines. And I want to place it on content 3. So that's a radio button group coding, which we have already understood in our previous examples. And I'm placing that radio button group on content 3. Similarly, let me take drop-down box also. Let me take drop-down box coding also from this particular PDF file. I'm copying that drop-down box coding. So now you can see I'm placing drop-down box also on content 3. radio button group is on content 3, drop down box is also on content 3. Now I want to take roadmap also. So let us copy that code as well. Let me copy that roadmap related coding. In class 26, I think it will be available. You can see there is a roadmap related coding. Let me copy that. On top of radio button group, I'm copying that roadmap coding, and roadmap coding here, if you closely observe, roadmap is also placed on content 3. So what we have done in this particular requirement, to make you understand this requirement, copy or create roadmap. In shortcut, I'm writing step 2, create drop down box. Step 3, create radio button group. So this is what we have done. We have created roadmap, we have created drop down, we have created radio button group. Now, according to this requirement, the functionality is implemented when user selects step 4. The functionality should be executed, the requirement functionality should be executed when user selects step 4 inside a roadmap. When user selects step 4 inside a roadmap, this functionality should be executed. That's the reason why you can see here under roadmap, I'm assigning one event here, that is step selected. Step selected is the event of a roadmap. So when user selects any step, that event will be triggered automatically. When user selects any step on roadmap, automatically step selected event will be triggered. How I came to know about that? You can see in the documentation, if you closely observe roadmap. So I'm going to documentation. In documentation, you can see there is an event that is step selected. For roadmap, there is an event step selected. So why don't you use that event to execute our functionality? So I'm using step selected event colon. I want to implement some functionality. That is, for example, my function. I'm giving some name as my function here, and that function should be implemented according to requirement. In the previous example, we were using press event of a button. Now I am using step selected event of roadmap. In previous example, I was using press event of a button. Now I am using step selected event of roadmap. So what I mean to say is every screen element contains its own event. Every screen element has some event. So I want to do something when user selects step 4. That's the reason why we are using step selected event. And then you can implement that functionality somewhere here. At the end, you can implement that functionality like function my fun function, my func. So that's a function name I provided here. And within these flower brackets, you can implement some code. You can implement some code. So in this particular function, first you need to capture which step is selected by user. In this function, as a developer, you need to capture which step is selected by user. Which step is selected by user inside a roadmap, and that can be done by using a roadmap object here. Let me copy that roadmap object, and I want to use its reference in the function. Roadmap object dot, you have to use get selected step. That is a standard method. Roadmap object dot get selected step. That's a standard method, and it will return the selected step automatically. Roadmap object dot get selected step, it returns the selected step of roadmap. Now, what you can do here, you can put some if-else condition here. If selected step is double equal to step 4. If selected step is double equal to step 4, for example, I'm using step 4. Okay, let me use some ID here. This is like step 1. For each step, I'm providing some ID. That is step 2. I'm using ID, that is step 3. Step 4. So now, in my coding part, I need to make use of, okay, let me delete this row repeater. It is very difficult to scroll up and down. So now you can see roadmap object dot get selected step returns the selected step. And if the selected step is equal to, step 4, then I want to implement some functionality, else I want to implement some other functionality here. So this is how inside your function you can use if-else conditions here. You can use switch case statement. You can use if-else statement. You can use switch case statement when you are writing the code inside the function also. You can use if-else statement. You can use switch case statement when we are implementing the code inside the function. So what I'm trying to do is I want to use a drop-down object dot set enabled. Set enabled is a very common method. I'm trying to make it false here. And I want to make radio button group. Let me check what is the object of radio button group. RBGO. Radio button group object dot set visible. That's a common method for every screen element. And this also I'm making false. I may be implementing enable, disable, visible, invisible functionality on drop-down radio button, but the same approach you can also follow for other screen elements. I'm implementing enable, disable, visible, invisible functionality on drop-down radio button group, but The same approach is valid for other screen elements. So please notice that. You can apply this functionality for table as well. You can make table visible, you can make table invisible. That is possible just by using set visible method. And in else block I'm using dropdown object dot set enabled as true here. And similarly, radio button group object dot set visible as true. You can see set visible, I'm using true. That's it. So this is how you can implement if else condition. And the most important thing is set enable, set visible. They are the common methods for every SAP UI5 as well as Fiori screen elements. When we go for Fiori part also, we are going to use the same methods. So at present, let me test. So let me check what went wrong. There may be some syntax errors. Let me check. So step 4 is not a valid ID. Let me check, select that. Step 4. Okay, there is some space. Okay, let me remove that space. There is some empty space. I removed that empty space. Now let me test it once. So now it is reflected. Let me test it here. Now you can see there is a roadmap, there is a drop down, there is a radio button group. Now if I'm selecting step 1, there is no difference in the screen. Step 2, there is no difference. Step 3, there is no difference. But when I click on step 4, now you can see drop down is disabled and radio button group is invisible. Drop down is disabled, radio button group is invisible when I am in step 4. But when I go back to step 2, it is back to normal. Step 1, it is back to normal. Only on step 4, the functionality is executed here. Only when I click on step 4, our functionality is executed. That is how we have written our if else condition. Okay, so that is how you can try. So it is executing properly. Now in step 4, otherwise what I'll do is I'll copy this entire code to you so that you can remember this. So that is how you can write your functionality. Now say for example, I want to take something like this. I want to take something like a rating indicator. I want to take rating indicator and I want to capture the selected rating. I want to capture the selected rating value from the rating indicator. So it's very simple. Let me show that. Capture selected value from rating indicator on button action. So first let me create a rating indicator here. I'm using rating indicator. And I want to take some button also in this case. Just for example, submit button I'm using. And I also want to use one function for this button. I want to use one function that is press event. For that press event, I want to use one function capture rating. In this line, we are assigning capture rating function to press event. In this line, we are assigning capture rating function to press event. And let me place that button also on content 4. So now let me create this function, capture rating function. I want to create that. So you can create somewhere here. Function is a keyword. Function is a keyword, and you can create this function and you can put flower brackets. Within that, you can use something like rating object dot get value. Get value, it returns a value that is nothing but the rating value. It returns rating value. Rating object dot get value, it returns rating value of rating indicator. Now similarly, I want to use a message. For example, sap.ui.commons dot some message box I'm using, and let me use one method alert, and I want to show rating value here as a message. So this is how you have to write the code. So let me test it. Now let me test it on external browser. So you can see there is a rating at the bottom. I'm selecting 4 rating here. I'm selecting 4 out of 5. When I click on submit, now we are getting that rating value as 4. After capturing that, you can perform some more functionalities. So if I'm selecting 2, now the selected rating is 2, so you'll get value as 2. If I select 5 star, then you'll get rating as 5. That is how you can capture. So let me use that. Let me give that code in your notes. Just go according to class 1, class 2, class 3, then you'll understand all the things very easily. And now, say for example, I want to capture the selected value of radio button group. I want to capture the selected value from radio button group, then what you need to do. So let us try that. So you can see let me go to radio button group, and this is a radio button group here. This is a radio button group, and at present I'm not using visible invisible. Now directly I'm placing radio button group on content 4, for example. I'm placing radio button group on content 4, and why don't we use that here? Radio button group object dot, you can use get radio button group object dot get selected item. Radio button group object dot get selected item dot, you can use get text. So you will get selected value of radio button group. Selected value of radio button group we are expecting here after executing this line. We are just using radio button group object dot get selected item dot get text. So it returns whichever radio button group is selected. And I want to print that as a message. I want to print as a message, so why don't you pass it here? Selected value from radio button group. So that variable, this variable we are passing to alert message to verify the value. We are passing this variable to alert method to verify the selected value. So let us test it now. So now you can see, okay, let me open an external browser. So you can see I'm selecting SAP OData. I'm selecting SAP OData, and if I click on submit button, now we are able to capture that value here. But in general, after capturing the value, what we do in general is we are going to perform some insert or delete or update or modify or fetching the data. So that operations we are going to do. When I explain CRUD operations, you will understand how to insert or delete or update or how to fetch the data. So at present, we are dealing with functions, and we are dealing with how to capture the selected values. So if I select, for example, SAP ABAP, and if I click submit button, now we are able to get that selected value. If I select UI5, the first option, then you'll get that selected value. So that is how you can work. So in your note file, just let me give this code to you. And say, for example, I want to capture the selected value from a drop-down box. I want to capture the selected value from a drop-down box. Then how we implement that? It's very simple. Let me just take only drop down box here. Drop down box. Now you can see drop down box object is drop down O. You can see drop down object is drop down O. So why don't you use that inside your function here? Inside your function, what you can do is you can use like drop down object dot, you can use get value. Drop down object dot get value. So it will return the value. So you can store it in, you can hold in a variable drop down selected value. Drop down object dot get value. Don't forget we are writing inside the function. Drop down object dot get value, it returns the selected value of drop down. And for example, I want to verify what is the selected value. I want to verify what is the selected value, then you can pass this variable to alert method. You can pass this variable to alert method just to recognize what is the selected value. So let me try here. There seems to be some problem. Let me rectify. There is some syntactical problem. SAP UI Commons message box.alert. What is missing? Okay, let me test it in. My func is undefined. Okay. We did not use that now. My function C. Okay. I have deleted my function. I have deleted my function implementation, but I'm still trying to use it in a roadmap. So that's the reason why it is showing some error. So I'm not using that function at all now. I'm not using that function at all. Let me test it now. So you can see, so I'm selecting, for example, I'm selecting SAP HCM. That's a value I'm selecting. On submit button, we are able to capture that selected value. And if I select, for example, SAP WebDin Pro on submit, so we can capture its value. So you can see that. So functionality is working fine. So let me copy that code. I'm not using rating, etc., etc. here. Directly go for drop-down box. Drop-down object dot get value, and you can pass that value to alert method in order to verify the value. So now let me tell you one more point here. In this particular example, what we have done is for button, we are using press colon. We are using press colon capture rating fun. So this is one way. This is one of the technique to assign a function to event of a screen element. This is one of the technique to assign. This is one of the technique to assign a function to an event of a screen element. So let me write that note once. Syntax 1 to assign function to event of screen element. So the syntax 1 says that you can use event name colon then function name. That is one of the syntax to assign. This is one of the syntax to assign a function to event of a screen element. For example, let me give some example here. For example, we were using press then some function name, or something like selected step colon some function name. So this is one way of, this is one of the technique to assign a function to event of a screen element. But SAP says that there is another way of doing the same. There is another technique also to do the same thing. In order to assign a function to event of screen element, there is syntax 2 also. Let me write that here. Syntax 2 to assign function to event of screen element. So that syntax says that your screen element object, you have to use screen element object dot, you have to use attach, then event name, and in the bracket you have to provide function name. So this is another way of assigning a function to event of screen element. This is another way of assigning function to event of a screen element. For example, I can say like this. Something like button object dot, you can use attach, event is press, then function name is, for example, capture data fun. So this is another way of doing the same. Button object dot, just follow the above syntax here. Screen element object dot attach event name, in the bracket pass the function name. Screen element object dot attach event name, in the bracket function name. For example, we are using button object dot attaching a function to press event here. We are attaching function to press event. Similarly, you can also use like this, roadmap object dot, you can use attach. That is the function, that is the event name. Attach is a method name, but inside the method you have to pass the event name, that is selected step or step selected, and in the bracket you have to pass your function name. something like this. Screen element object dot attach, then event name, then function name you have to pass. So whatever we have done till now in today's class can be done with syntax 2 also. Whatever we have done till now in today's class can also be implemented by using syntax 2 as well. Okay, syntactically you can use any syntax. Technically you can use any syntax, but our requirement wise there won't be any impact if you use syntax 1 or syntax 2. Okay, so for example, let me use syntax 2 here. Let me use syntax 2. For example, you can see there is a button object. According to syntax 1, we are using press colon capture rating fun. So I don't want to use that first syntax, so let us delete that here. Let us make it button just with submit text. Now just button is available with submit text. Now according to syntax 2, what you need to do is you can use button object. You have to use button object dot, you can use attach. You can see attach press. Attach press. Attach is a method name, press is the event. And you can see attach press, and what is the function you want to assign, that function you can provide in the bracket here. Very simple. For button object, we are attaching a function to press event here. We are attaching function to press event here. So there won't be any difference technically. Let us test it. Now I'm selecting, for example, a drop-down box. If I click submit button, we are able to capture the value. If I select something like SAP WebDin Pro, if I click on a submit, we are able to capture the value. That means submit button contains a press event associated with one function with syntax 2. Submit function is working properly without any problem, even if I use syntax 2 also. Okay, so when you are referring the documentation, sometimes SAP is using syntax 1, sometimes SAP is using syntax 2, but technically both are same. So no need to be panic. Syntax 1, syntax 2, technically they are same. Got the point? So please remember that and just notice these two things. Syntax 1 and syntax 2. Okay, I'll take some doubts from you. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Let me come one by one. Venkat, Vanaparthi.
Hi, Vijay.
Yeah, hi.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. First thing is like regarding that schedule of the classes you sent me, right? Sent us, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So those classes, like one second. Yeah, those classes, can you make it like 2 hours, and also the timings? I think some classes are 5 to 8 o'clock, right? 5 p.m.
Yeah.
to 8 p.m.
Yes, yes.
So could you make it like a bit, late, maybe after 6 or 7? Is it possible? Because I may be working in the weekends, so I'll be signing out maybe around 7 or, you know.
Okay, I'll just make it at 6 o'clock otherwise.
Yeah, that will be okay then.
Okay, yeah. Then
Okay.
you have any technical doubts?
No, only this thing. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, fine. Then Venkat, one more person with same name, Venkat. Okay, then Vasant.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, Harshal Patel.
Sir, I want to capture the old data to array, and I want to filter based on the duplicate value.
We are going to do that when we go for CRUD operations. Just wait, be patient till CRUD operations. Because in CRUD
Oh,
operations, you'll understand how to receive and how to send data back with single record and multiple records.
okay, okay, fine, sir, no problem.
Yeah, just wait till CRUD operations. Yeah, then what about other students? Any doubts in previous classes or this class?
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Hi,
Parthasarathi.
sir.
Hello,
Good
this is
evening.
Parthasanti.
Yeah,
S-
Parthasarathi.
Sir, can I use the a bar graph and column graph at a time in one page?
Yes, you can use it, but you have to create two different objects.
Two different model objects, or
No. You can use same model object, but you have to use two different objects, one for bar, another for column.
already have created the two different objects for column and bar, but still this is not working.
Okay, send that code to me. I think you might be assigning data set. There is a flattened data set that also you have to
Yeah,
take care properly.
flattened
Flattened
data
data set
sets.
also should be taken care carefully. Just send that code to me. I'll just troubleshoot that.
The flattened data set you have to create two times, right? Two
I think
times or a single time?
one time it is enough. Flattened data set, I think once it is enough, but bar object should be separate, column object should be separate. And model should be assigned to both this bar and column if you are applying that technique.
No. Suppose at
No,
first
first
I
let
am
me let me just listen to me. Did you set model to both bar and graph, bar graph and column graph?
yes.
Then send the code to me. I'll try to verify.
Okay, I'll send it.
Because there is no point in discussing. Once if you send the code, then I can easily recognize what went wrong.
Okay.
So what I mean to say is technically you can use two graphs. There is no problem. You can use any number of graphs on a single screen. The only thing is you have to create different objects for different graphs.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Already I have done that. Still it is not working. Okay, I'm
Okay,
sending
just
it.
send it to me.
Okay. Thanks.
Then Saumendra, Saroj, Saral Desai. You have any doubts? Okay, then let me go to Jyoti. What's your doubt?
Hi, sir. Actually, today I tried form with the static data, but when I give sap.ui.layout, it is not showing at all. It is showing like object, null reference, something. So in that, it was showing like sap.ui.commons.form.form. So I used that, but it was not showing any error. But I am not getting output as well.
You which example you are testing?
Form, simple form.
Simple form, but did you register this? You can see in library section, you have to register sap.ui.layout.
Okay, I have not registered this.
Okay, that is compulsory.
Okay, that is the reason I am not getting this layout option when I press control space, right?
That might be the reason, but I'm not sure. First register that and try again.
Okay, but without layout, I have form option that is like sap.ui.commons.form.form it is there.
No,
But
you should not use that. I did not use that option. I was using this concept, like I was using sap.ui.layout something like this one.
yeah, form.simple form you used.
Form dot. Let me check what exactly it is. Okay, this one. Form dot
Simple form.
Simple form. So what you are using?
I use like when I try to give this example, like it is not showing, like there is no form object object null reference. I am getting the error.
Okay, just send that code again.
Okay, I will first register as you said, and if I still get the same, I'll just send you a code.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Then Deepthi, Aslam, Anil, Neeraj are able to follow the concepts? Neeraj?
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Sir, continue. Okay. Can I continue with my question?
Yeah, Dheeraj.
Yeah. Sir, actually, I have one doubt. See, from here execution perspective, unlike to ABAP, here I'm able to see that you are defining function first. Okay. And then after you are writing the code in that particular function. So it's not giving any syntax error also. Like in ABAP, we have to first define the function. If you will see here, the press button in the press, there is the event name press, and then after you are quickly writing the function name. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I got your doubt.
below that,
I understood your doubt. So here in scripting, after defining a function, first you define the function, after that we implement the function. So after defining a function, if you don't implement the function, it will not throw any error. It will just try to display blank. That is my observation. Now tell me what's your doubt in that.
okay, no, I'm able to now make some sense, because what happened that in normal ABAP, when we write something, right, when we call a function, that function must be, defined at the ABAP part.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, I understood that, but you also understand. You also need to know that different programming
I
languages
got the
have
concept.
different style.
Yeah. This is what I just wanted to confirm here, that this is the way here we are coding in the UI5, or we have some other way also to code it.
This is the way. This is one of the way if you are defining and implementing in the same file. In today's class, what we are trying to do is we are trying to assign a function and we are implementing the function in the same file. This is one of the technique. And in the coming classes, what we are going to do is we are going to assign the function in one view and we are going to implement its functionality in the controller. That will come in the next stage.
Okay. So, sir, I will request you that, in coming classes, just give us once like how the complete cycle works. Okay, like first, which view will be called first, after that, which controller will be called first, so that we can make some sense. Like how
that you will understand. As of now, I did not use any view concept. So mostly after two classes, mostly after next two classes, we are going to use view and controller technique. Okay. In that we have another way of using function and implementing a function.
Got it.
Okay.
The other question which I wanted to ask here is, can we, based on some value, can we enable, disable some fields?
Yes, why not?
That will also be possible, I think, right?
Yes, you can. What you can do is you can use like, for example, you are using rating.getValue. After getting a value, you can put some if-else condition, and based on that, you can do enable or disable, visible or invisible.
Sir, I'm having a confusion in the loop. Like in normal, in a web, we write some loop, okay, in internal table, kind of, and based on some value of work area, we can put some condition. So here, how we can implement a loop? Is there any particular syntax?
We are going to use, in that case, we have to use a for loop. We don't use loop at iTab in front end part. We use just for loop. If you go through my scripting syntaxes, long back in scripting syntaxes, I gave the syntax for loop. We have to use that technique.
Right.
If you want to implement iteration.
Okay, sir, I will try, and I will also request if you could take the same thing in any of the class.
We are going to do that. Functions concept, we are going to do it again and again from now onwards. because we are writing the code everything in a single view or in single file, but in the coming classes we are going to take multiple views and we can write the code in different controllers of those views. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Then Mohan, Mahidhar, Naveen.
Hi Vijay, Mohan here.
Hello.
Yeah. 1 second.
Muted.
Yeah. You can speak now. Mohan. Mohan.
Yeah, hi Vijay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I have two doubts. Okay, the first one is in yesterday's class, you have shown us like how to capture the values for the form fields.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, is that the only way that we have for capturing the values for the form fields, or is there any other way of capturing this? I mean, my doubt here is, let's say, if I design a form with, let's say, for 40 fields, which is a very complex form, and then if I just start getting the values by index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, later, I mean, if there is a requirement of adding a field in the middle of the screen, then I need to adjust all the code until the end, right?
Yes.
So is there any other way of doing that without disturbing any code? Just insert the field wherever I want, and then I just capture the value of it?
But at present, let me tell you my experience. At present, I found out that is the only way as per the documentation available in demo toolkit.
Okay. Right. And then I mean, okay, that's one thing. I mean, then the other one, I mean, my question is, let's say if you design a form with different fields, and then anyhow we are giving the name and IDs for the form fields, and then can't we use the JavaScript like document.getElement by ID by value? Is it possible?
No, we don't use that. Because that is pure JavaScript. But here it is not like pure JavaScript used in UI5. Document dot generally works for HTML tags, but here we are using SAP UI5 screen elements.
Right. So that technique won't work here, is it?
I think it won't work because it's very simple. Document.getID, it works based on the HTML based tags, because in HTML tag there will be ID, so you can use document.getID or by ID. But we are not using HTML tag to create a form. We are not using HTML tag to create a button. We are using a scripting code for button, scripting code for table. We are using scripting code for roadmap instead of using HTML tag. So document.getID, I think it won't work here. Even if it works, I think we don't do like that. Mohan.
So that means from your experience, so from your experience, if it's a very complex form, then we need to take the pain until if there is any deletion. I mean, deletion is fine. If there is any addition of a field in between the form, then we need to adjust all the IDs of that the remaining elements. Is it?
We don't adjust IDs of each and every screen element. If you are using a form, container, we use the ID only for form, not for every screen element. We use ID for form level, but not for individual screen element. So you need not adjust the ID for every screen element when you are using the screen elements inside the form. Every form contains only one ID. Based on that ID, we get the content. On that content, we can get the individual values.
I mean, actually, it's not the ID. I mean, what I mean to say is a get value by index value. So that value we need to adjust, right?
Yeah, that index array you have to adjust. Yes.
Okay, so that's number one question. Number two, let's say if I have a requirement like there is a form the registration form, and then clicking on the submit if there is a confirmation page. So that means there are two layers of pages. So in that case, is there any way of designing two pages and then adding them into the index.html rather than writing the entire code within that index.html?
Yes, that concept we are going to discuss.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
how to use multiple views, how to navigate from one view to another view, and writing some code in view 1 and writing some other code in view 2. That technique I am going to explain mostly on October 3rd.
Okay, thanks, Vijay.
Yeah. Then what about other students?
Yeah, Vijay, Ravi.
Vijay, this is Mahidar.
Yeah, Ravi. Ravi, I'll speak to you later. Mahidar.
Yeah, Vijay, regarding today's examples, when you said we're dealing with multiple objects and hiding and disabling and stuff like that, is there any limitation as to those objects have to exist in the same content or same view?
No. It can be on different views and it can be on different content areas. Just to make you easily understand, I've taken the same content area.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
they can be on different views also, right? Even if you do
different. When we are using multiple views, then you'll understand that technique as well.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Vijay.
Yeah, then Harshavardhan.
Hello.
Yeah, Ravi.
Yeah, Vijay. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello, Vijay. Yeah, Vijay. Then, as you are mentioning that we cannot get what are the screen elements that you are placed in the form by the ID.
We are going to get based on the ID of the form, but not based on the ID of individual screen element if you are using a form concept.
Okay.
Using screen elements inside a form is different. Using the screen elements without form is different.
Okay.
Mohan was asking about the screen elements available inside the form.
Okay. But that means which are available outside the form we can get through the ID.
Exactly.
Okay.
If the screen elements are within the form container, then we just use the ID of the form, not the ID of all individual screen elements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Then Sanket, Raja, Saroj are able to follow the concepts. Yeah, hello? Yeah, Sheshu, what's your doubt? Yeah, T code we are going to create in SC93. That is possible only after deploying this application in UI5 ABAP repository. We are going to deploy our application to ABAP UI5 repository. After deploying to that repository, you can integrate in Fiori Launchpad, or if you want, you can try with a transaction code also. Yeah. Then what about other students? Srikanth,
Hello.
Sumit. Yeah, let me give chance to others.
Okay.
Srikanth, Sumit, any doubts? Rani and Tanmay, Tina are able to follow the concepts? Okay. Yeah, and Tejasvi, Sunil.
Yes, Sunil here, Vijay.
Yeah.
Vijay, one doubt regarding that graph. You see, I sent you that script also, copy of that. I'm not getting this graph output. It says no data.
Earlier, let me tell you. Earlier you did not get even that message as no data, right?
Yes, right. Then you shared me that ID password. After giving that ID password, I was getting the information, no data. But at least that information was coming. Earlier that was not coming.
Yeah, I got your question. So you are getting no data, but what you try to do is try to install SVG Adobe Weaver. Let me check here. Not this one, Google Chrome. So here you can see Adobe SVG Viewer. You try to install this before testing. I think in your browser this might be missing. So try to install Adobe SVG Viewer. Try to install in your machine. log off that browser and try to reload that application. Okay. Sunil, are you getting my point?
Second point, one more thing.
Yeah.
One more point, Vijay. Now my Eclipse is running very slow all of a sudden. See, I noticed. See, I tried that for debugging, Control Shift Alt S to debug that.
Okay.
Uh, okay, I noticed after doing it twice, all of a sudden it became slow. Like it takes very long time to come to the next screen, and
Okay.
finally it gets aborted.
I think Eclipse doesn't go slow based on that control alt space. I don't think that has
Okay.
connection with your Eclipse slowness.
What do you suggest? What should I do? Should I try reinstalling Eclipse again?
I think you can try in that way, but I
Because
don't think control alt space won't affect the performance of your Eclipse.
because what happens is my first screen comes fast. I get as I used to get before. But then after one or two operations of toggling between that preview and in viewing index, then it becomes slow.
Yeah, I think the problem might be your application when you are going to a preview of your output, it is trying to interact with your gateway server. If gateway server is not responding in time, then definitely your Eclipse may take time and it will go into a loop.
Yeah, that is what was happening. So then in that case, I did not go for reinstalling Eclipse and all, right?
Try just what you do is try to log off from that Eclipse, reload and try once or twice, and if the same problem persists, then try to reinstall.
Okay.
Okay, I think
that,
in your case it is trying to interact with a OData service, and gateway server might be responding slow at that point of time. So that's the reason why your Eclipse is waiting for that response and it is going in a loop. That might be the reason.
better to install Eclipse optimizer, performance optimizer, something like that. Even if I face that one, first I install that one, but now it is correct.
Okay.
It is fine.
Sunil, you can,
Eclipse
did you listen to
optimizer. Yeah, I got his point. Eclipse optimizer. So you can download it. Or what is it actually? Is it add-on?
Anything like go for Google.
Okay, is it an add-on for Eclipse? This Eclipse optimizer?
I think I searched in Google actually, and I installed that, and right now it is fine.
Okay, you would say it's a piece of software that gets added to
Yes,
your
yes.
existing Eclipse.
Yes.
Okay, I'll try doing that. Okay, thanks.
Okay,
Okay,
then,
thanks. Thanks.
Then Sumit, Swadhin, Tanmay, Abhijit, any doubts? Abhijit, Adilakshmi, are you able to sort out that issue? Adilakshmi, can you hear me? Okay, Ajit, I'll be sending the mail to you regarding that. Ajit.
Okay, Vijay. Actually, every time I'm getting that problem.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a small doubt, sir. Hello?
Okay.